Oh man, if I got a ripping and raring doozy for you today, this, in my opinion, is the greatest, safest, longest lasting storm shelter on the market. A lot of people will buy their local storm shelters and things of that nature. This is out of Oklahoma. This is FlatSafe. You got a solid steel door on the top. We'll get into a lot of specs and details later. And what I don't mention will be down in the YouTube description. So hit that up. Also, if you're interested in it, I'll have a contact. And make sure to tell them Isaiah's Reviews sent you whatever you do for the best possible price that they're going to give you a quote. This is totally purchased by me. This is the second one I've owned. I had another one a decade ago, for a decade long. And this one's brand new and installed. And the cool thing is we get to visually see a comparison between the other guy, the two-part doorman, and this Hot-Dip Galvanized storm shelter, which I've been recommending for well over a decade now since owning the other one. And this is 50-year transferable warranty. The other one that I had was 25-year, and I asked the installer what made the difference, what made the change, and it was the zinc, the galvanizing process, the zinc mix, and all that stuff to make the liquid Hot-Dip Galvanized process. They basically weld the whole thing up and dip it and all this kind of stuff, and they determined 50-year warranty is good enough. And I think that's going to be good enough for whatever house you're living in. If you live there 50 years, good job, right? Before we get down into the hole, the good thing about this thing is it sits close to the edge, so you can drive over it, and then your rear bumper should be somewhere in this neighborhood. You can push this spring-loaded. It comes open with this foot pin. Put the pin in. Step, spring loads open, and there's a spring in there that you can adjust if you want to, but the tighter you make it, the harder it is to push it back closed. You do get a handrail. I keep conveniently behind a bunch of stuff. You do get a handrail that goes right in the cutout hole, and this handrail will help you get in and out, and also has a pin right here to where I guess if you need to pull this door back to you a little bit closer before you go down in there to completely pull it over, you can do that, but there you go, it's a handrail. And make sure to remove this and not accidentally back out with it still up. I may or may not have done that on the last one. So then you can just kick it open the rest of the way. And as you can see, I live life fully as expected, as a parent, a husband, 2 kids. Stuff collects on this side of the garage. We got 2 other bays over there so we can park our cars next to each other. And this is the area where everything collects and stores itself. And we still, as long as you have this much room behind it to open, you can get into the storm shelter. First off, you'll email the guy down in the YouTube description that I'll leave information on how to get up with them to get quotes. This is a 10-person storm shelter. You can get different sizes. You can get the poly one. You don't have to get the Hot-Dip Galvanized. It's just, this is my favorite, and I trust and believe in this one over any other ones on the market. And also, you can opt for an above-ground one. But I always tell people to go to this one that ask me which one should they get, because I've seen concrete anchors and stuff like that fail, and it just scares the crap out of me to know that I am up out of the ground and an EF5 potentially tornado could come over. I know they've made it, and there's photos of one just sitting there and surviving, the house gone, but it still just scares me to know that I am up above ground. And this one is my better option, I think. So, first off, you do the contacts, you will schedule everything out, and they're out of town now. They used to have the installers, local installers, I believe, or they did on my first install. So this second one is installer from Oklahoma that go travel around. They'll have like 4 or 5 on a truck, and so they'll just travel a week installing these things. So it's super simple process as well, like 3 or 4 hours from the time they get here till it's done. Once you determine which one you want, then you just arrange a time, and you'll probably have to go get the permit for it and be prepared for that. The next process about scheduling the inspection, because your city inspector, if it's a city, would probably have to come out, check it out before they put the unit in. But they arranged that. But you will have to probably get the permit, which is like 36 bucks or something like that it was in my case. So they'll give you all that information that you need up front to do what you need to do. And you'll also need to ensure that nothing is down below here. If you built a home, or you can contact the builder, most of the time there should be nothing underneath the garage. It would be really weird if it was, but you'll need to get the city or whoever to come out and mark the areas around your home where gas lines, electrical lines, plumbing, and all that kind of stuff is, just to be on the safe side. So first off, they'll come in here and then they cut. They'll measure everything out, and they'll measure wider than the unit itself, because they'll have to pour concrete around this thing. But they'll measure, and then they'll bring in a water saw, and then they'll cut everything out. And once they cut everything out, they'll bring in this backhoe that's been modified to have clearance to get into a garage. And so they come in, they'll pick up the chunks, throw those away, and start the digging process. They'll dig all the way down until the measurements fit whatever the requirements are to bury this thing down in the ground. But it's a big hole. And they remove all dirt, had no issues with any kind of, they probably left this cleaner than they arrived, which is fantastic. But they bring this unit in, and as they bring it in, it fits perfectly into the garage. They lower it down, and then they space it out equally on all sides, and they have this wooden blocks that they set it on. So it's probably up an inch or so. So water will shed off. So it sits up about, it appears to be about an inch or so above the surface there. So you will have a runoff effect. Then they just maneuver the thing around to center it up, and then they call some local concrete delivery service. They have their wheelbarrows already with them, and then they come and they have these wooden boxes that channel the stuff down in the pockets all the way around it. So they just shovel and dump this concrete down in there and pour it all in there, and then they take this vibrator and run it through to get any air pockets and stuff out of the way, and then they just begin to sculpt and to mold and do this concrete work that they need to do here. And then they start attaching all the things on the inside, cleaning it up, putting the stairs in correctly and all this kind of stuff. And then they pressure wash and clean everything up. The garage, the driveway, everything is spotless. And the cool thing that I was able to do is there just so happened to be a neighbor across the street that was installing one, a local one. And this was one of the box ones that's in the ground just like this one. And basically they welded up, they put the angle iron and stuff around the outside to help give it a hold in the concrete, and it had a two-part door on the top. But look at the difference of this thing. This is the Hot-Dip Galvanized unit. Look at their unit across the street. And whenever I was doing price comparisons, the 10-person equivalent of that welded, just painted two-part door system was a little bit more than this Hot-Dip Galvanized. That's pretty impressive to me. And even if it was a little bit more, this one's better built. Problem with the two-part door that I don't like is if debris and stuff like that gets on top of it, it might dent part of the door, making it impossible to move that top front section back to get out. And then a lot of them come with a porta power in the back. You'll jack that up and blow the back door off to be able to get out. But then if debris and everything else is covered up on that, that's not good. A two-part door, one sits lower than the other. If water starts to fill up, it will start pouring down into that two-part, that connection point, that middle ground right there. Water will pour into that. This has an overhang on the sides. Water will roll off the top and go down, and because it's like an inch higher, it will shed away. So it will shed off the top. Now there are air holes back in the back here that exist, and the way it's designed is air can go over the top and go in. It's designed to suck air in. I have a battery powered fan that I'll put down there to help circulation, and battery powered lights go down in there as well. But you get a kind of air vents in the front and two in the back. You get an overhang on a rail. The bearings are on a rail system to roll off of you, and so you get some air coming in from the edges, two in the back, one in the front. You get plenty of air circulation, and it will shed water out and away, not collect and go through the seams of the two-part door. That's the big thing for me. And also, those other guys aren't 50-year guaranteed. They're not Hot-Dip Galvanized. That's a big deal. And then this one reigns supreme all over the map. So So there's really no reason why, in my opinion, you would pay a little bit more or maybe a little bit less for the other guy. It doesn't make sense. Now this is the items I carry down there. This is a Works fan, battery powered, has a hook on this so you can hang this up down there if so be it. But I suggest a little fan to kind of circulate some air. And then I've got these two Works 20 volt battery powered lights. Now I'm not sponsored or anything by Works whatsoever. I just like their stuff. For residential, they're pretty stout things and they're extremely affordable on batteries and stuff. And that's the big cost grabber on these things, is always batteries. And Works batteries have always held up charged great, like a year or something on these things or more. And they're just affordable. So I buy all Works stuff. I'm kind of a Works junkie. But yeah, these things will be linked down in the YouTube description as well, because I think they'll help you and they're very affordable. So yeah, they work great down there. So now let's go down into the hole. We'll take a look around at what you really want to see is how does 10 people get down in there? So welcome to the dungeon down below. The safe haven hidey hole is like what I just started calling it just now. I made that up. My wife is kind of claustrophobic a little bit, but this is very roomy. This is the 10-person one. It's a lot of room in here. 5 people on one side, 5 on the other. There's stairs that come down. There are wooden planks. To get 10 people in here, you'll need to take those wooden planks up and set them down on the floor, and you can comfortably get 5 people on each side. Now, in our case, it's a 4-person household. Behind the stairs there, I can put a couple cases of water and some dry food storage if need be. I'll check the temperatures of this thing throughout the seasons of the year and make sure that it can accommodate storage or something like that. And I can use that backside for that if I want to. And if my kids have some friends over, if the neighbors need some help or something like that, we've got a little more room and we can accommodate for guests. Here's the come-along system. It will be mounted up here where this is welded at, and everything is hot-dipped galvanized, so everything's dipped. You can see this galvanizing, so solid. It's such a beautiful thing. 50 years, man. Not worry-free 50 years. No rust, no anything. All the welds, all the seams, everything is coated and galvanized. It's great. But anyway, back to the come-along. This come-along's here, come-along down here. So basically you got the wall here, attached to the door up here. And if debris and stuff's on you, you can just crank this thing. They've got links on how to use it. Tutorials and stuff like that exist. There's probably somewhere on the website. I'll leave links to that down in the YouTube description. So yeah, this is it. Let's take a little look around. Here's where you'll come down, and you'll come down through here. And then here are the steps that you can just take right up. They sit right in there. It's loud. No problem at all to unstack this real quick. You could probably leave this one here. You don't have to deal with that. So unstack that and just shove them underneath the seat, and you could get an extra 2 or 3 people on each side or something like that. So you could get 10 down here. How cool is that? Here are some chains. These chains will hook to the doors themselves, like right there. Once the door is shut, the chain will hook there. There's 2 chains back in the back that will go through here to help lock that in. So you've got, not only do you have the normal latch there, you have 4 chains to help hold this door shut. So nothing should happen. And let's look at the wheel system on this thing. It runs across that rail. See a little gap here. I'll show you what that's like shut here in just a second. This is going to be incredibly noisy. I get it. There's a wheel up top, one here on the bottom, so it can ride on that track like so. So I can shut this up from back here in the back by these little support beams, these little ribs that run across the top of the door. And there you can see the air vent, which will allow air to come through, and water can funnel down through here. And it's the opposite, same thing on the opposite side of me is this. Seals up really nice. Right there, that little box sitting right up there, that's where the pin will rest down into, so you won't drive over and damage it. There's little air vents on the sides of that. Plenty of air in here, plenty of room. I don't feel claustrophobic at all. Plenty of leg space before you get to the next person sitting across from you. You'll hook this up here, you run that chain through there, and here's your come along. You can winch this. I gotta get out. Winch it off of you, okay? spring here, pretty good tension on that. That's what allows that door to fling open. So yeah, I hope this gives you a really good idea and a sense of how roomy these things are. And look at this beautiful Hot-Dip Galvanized shelter. It's a thing of beauty, and you notice the shape of this? The other guys just flat straight across. So this is a nice lip for concrete, more concrete to sit on, get narrow, and also to shed off the overhang from the door, shedding water. Only 2 places water is going to come in. So get you a fan down here, get some of these lights, here are these lights, some of these, and you're perfectly at home for 15 minutes that you'll be down here. It's not bad. When you want to get out, you just unchain everything, and then you pull this lever, and the spring-loaded door will open. I do want to go through their process of Hot-Dip galvanizing and what they do, and also some extra specs. So I'm going to have my phone to make sure that I get everything and say everything that I need to say. The surface preparation for these shelters is a degreasing process, rinsing, pickling, rinsing again, and then flux solution, drying, and then the zinc bath happens. And then once the zinc bath happens, that's whenever you're galvanizing it. And then it's a cooling and an inspection period afterwards. So it's a long process to make this shelter over just welding some panels and slapping some paint on it. Because that's what's happening with these other 2-part door systems that exist is, in other systems, is everything in ground is just welded, painted, and then here's your few year warranty, 6-year, 5-year, whatever it is. But this process is very lengthy. And if you match that up with the price, that's pretty spectacular. Let's talk about their single piece lid system. And this is direct from them. I know I've talked about it from my personal opinion and experience with it. Now I just want you to know what they have to say about it. And it says, all of our in-ground FlatSafe tornado shelters come with our patented single-piece lid system. The lid is a 1/4 inch thick steel plate with added structural tubing, which is these things here, to provide extra strength. So they go a step above just that steel door. They're also putting welding in tubing to reinforce a 1/4 inch thick of steel. So that's pretty impressive. The single piece lid is larger than the frame of the safe room opening and sits above the frame, not down inside the frame, which is great. It sits above it, and that's what will shed the water out as well. So it's awesome. The lid system is much stronger than a typical 2-piece lid system offered by someone else. Provides more than adequate ventilation. I can attest to that. The decade plus of owning these, I've never had a problem with not being able to breathe. They have a guarantee no float, because sometimes your water table might rise up in the ground, and these storm shelters have floated up and busted up out of the floor. There's plenty of footage of that and video of that, pictures of that and things online that I've seen. Whenever I was looking up stuff, if these things aren't anchored in correctly, if the air pockets and everything's not done correct on install, and you don't have those angle irons welded to the sides and channels around it for the concrete to get in and anchor to, it could float if your water table goes up. It says also FlatSafe tornado shelters are backfilled 100% with ready-mix concrete, no dirt, to counteract buoyancy and flotation. FlatSafe tornado shelters will never float, guaranteed. So yeah, I think that sums up everything. I mean, it's a storm shelter, but all the little details, the bearings can support, like, I think it's 3 pallets of brick. I'm not sure exactly how many tons, but that's on the website and stuff. But yeah, everything on this thing is built like a tank. You pay the money for it, and you're like, this is an investment, and it feels like I got my money's worth. That's exactly what it feels like here. So every time I go down in here, I feel like, you know, I buy a bunch of stupid stuff, we all do, and then this is one of the things I invest in, and I'm confident, and it puts a smile on my face every time we kind of have to come down here, that you know, we made the right decision for our family, and I hope you will as well if you're in the market for this. And now we come right on out. Hopefully you're safe. It was just a warning. Nothing got you, hopefully nobody got hurt. And you're coming back out to your home, you're safe, you have confidence that you can deal with these storms and warnings as they happen. There always seems to be super close calls every year. Where I live in North Alabama, it's a thing. If you have that issue as well, it's a super good investment. It'll look very impressive if you go sell your home with one of these things installed. That will help if you're worried about that. It's a big deal for that, especially in areas that are prone to storms. This one-part door system, you're coming out dry as a bone. If something does happen, I don't think you'll have to worry with a bunch of water coming in, a bunch of debris that you can't get this thing off of you. As we covered, you got to come along. This door can handle a lot of weight, so you can get up and out, and hopefully it's not going to be too long before people are around you anyway to help you. And you can register these things with your county or city or something like that, so if they know you got one. That would be a good thing to do. But also, make sure to go down to the YouTube description, check out all the links, do your homework, because I did them. I've done a lot of work trying to figure out what was the best option for my family to protect them, and this is where we all arrived at. This is a great system. It's a great company. They've been in business a long time. Super nice. Email the person down in the YouTube description. Tell them Isaiah's Reviews sent you. That's super important to do that. And maybe you can get some kind of deal on this thing. I hope that would be the case. And make sure to explode on that subscribe button and ding the dong if all this stuff helped you out, so that you can be notified on something else that I can find that will, really help you out. Because I think this is one of the most important reviews that I've done, period, because this thing's an instant lifesaver if you need it, and it's there, and it will be there year after year for 50 years guaranteed. See ya.